Alright, you want to know how to find bulb. Well, you've got to be in a bulb producing area to start with. Then I normally start off in the fruits. But it's handy to know where that bulb come from in the first place. Let's track it back. Right, as you're moving up the fruit, you find little pockets like this, and they'll trap bulb. How did the bulb get there? Well, in this particular area, just look at the banks. See that? It's river one. There was one time that's been in a river. There's big rot under it. A rounded rot of that size doesn't belong in this little creek. And there's a reason for that. There's an old riverbed that cuts through this creek in certain places. Sort of like ironstone. It's always a good sign, even though it plays havoc with the bloody metal detector. Not sure what that one is. Of course, without quartz and all that. Now, I've taken samples out of some of these pockets, and they are herring bulb. I got some very nice pieces out of some of those. Okay, so the bulb travels from here into the street, into the pockets. You find it. How did it get there? Okay. Down here we have our bedrock, original bedrock. Then there's a stony layer on top of that. You can sort of see there. All the pebbles there. Then there's a clay layer above that. Another layer of stone, river stone. Another clay layer, and so on. And the layers have been built up over thousands, if not millions of years. And you go through big flood events where this whole area would have been underwater for hundreds of years maybe, who knows. Then it dries out, then the water runs across it, giving you all these river stone. Another layer of them. And actually that second layer there, I'd actually, there's samples of gold out of that as well, but not as good as the bottom layer. Then it moves up to another period of heavy water, maybe floods, for long periods to build up that much, and then so on until we get all the way to the top. Alright, so the gold's in that layer there, and a bit in that layer. So now we'd all work out, how did that get there? I'm on top of a hill. It's pretty well flat. Yet all around me is round river stones. So how did they end up here? Well, they're back 1 million years or more. Maybe 100 million years. The river was way up there, right above us. Now over hundreds of millions of years or whatever, that river's totally disappeared now. And the only thing that remains are things like this. Now the reason I know it was here is I had a look on a satellite map and I just see a very faint dark line going through. It was really hard to spot. And I went straight through just above this area, across there. Now I'm thinking all that is black sand. It makes the soil just that little bit darker. So I followed that black sand and it goes way, way over there, that line, and ends up at some of the big mine sites over there. The other end ends up at some of the old digging mine sites there. And all the way along that line, if there's a valley, the diggings are further down. If it's on a rise, then the diggings are closer to it, or nobody's found it yet. There's a lot of places I've got to check out along that black line to see if I'm right or not. But even if I'm not, these rocks being here must prove something. And I know if I go further over that way, on top of a hill, it's all river sand. And all the rocks are different. They're not the similar rocks to what we find around here. They're the ones that come out of the mountains up there. So millions of years ago, the gold got knocked out of the reefs up there, come down the creeks and rivers from the mountains into this big river here, and then along. And then over millions of years, it's then pushed all the material down towards where the river is nowadays. So by knowing that, suddenly we've got all this new area we can find. Nobody's found gold above where that black line is. But anywhere below that black line, you have a good chance of finding it. Now, it's not going to work on all areas. I found it here. Maybe nowhere else in the world you'll find it, but it's definitely worth looking at your satellite maps and just have a decent look at the areas that you're working, because you just never know what you might find.